Okay, I believe now I'm streaming. Let me see if my voice is 300%. It's still 300%. Okay, let me just test this. Whenever you need me, follow link. Well, now I don't intend to keep it blabbling. Blabbling. Yeah, public around. I need to study stuff, and if I'm going to do it, you're going to do it with me. Now, going to open here. Show show the screen. Okay. Now I go, and let me open Notion. 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 Where are you? Here. Well, as I open my Notion, and I cannot see stuff. Where's my Notion? Just to tell, the Notion is a program that I use to note things, and it's not open, which gets me frustrated about this. Now it opened. Let me change. Study goals. Finish MAUI documentation. I am now in the XML text part. I have already read. I believe I have already read this part, but I will be reading again. I have I think in a live before I have finished the tutorial. Okay. I have finished the tutorial, and choose, choose. I've finished this tutorial here, and now I'm going to read the XML, all the stuff. It's stuff, not so. It's not few things. There are too many things. after the fundamentals that are more and more things. But when I finish reading all of this, until I get the enterprise, not that I need this, but well, technically all of this I apply in the office I work. So it would be good if I know all of this. I can be more assured of myself. Well, let's see here. Going back to Notion. 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 Going to display the entire screen. I don't like this. I don't like this. Let me see if there is something that can notifications. Let me turn off the notifications. You people don't doesn't need to know what I do or does. Put this display. Okay. Um, Now the notion is appear. Okay. So the first thing I'm gonna make overview after I will get to fundamentals. After finish fundamentals, I need I still need to fill up. Oh, already fill it up. Really? To prepare person I am. So I'm going to read overview. Yes, I'm going to read in live everything because I am studying. You can accompany or not. Do what you must, but I will study here. You can accompany or not. Do as you wish. Mm, no, that's not so old. The Extensible Application Markup Language XML is an XML-based language that's an alternative to programming code for instantiating and initializing objects. Uh, you see, if you are a person that never, uh, if you are a non-developer, a person that never, a non-developer, what is instantiating? It's something. I cannot tell if it comes only from oriented um, object oriented programming. OOP, object oriented programming. I don't know if it's instantiating. It's something that only exists on this style on this paradigm. The word is paradigm. Yeah, paradigm. It's a paradigm of programming. When I say instantiating, it's I create a code that it is an object that resembles something of the real world. It has data inside it. I'm saying in the simplest way I can. It has data inside it, like a car. A car has a motor, uh, has a motor, has wheels, wheels, doors, places to sit. Well, uh, the car fuel, a tank of fuel in liters or any other measure you want to use. And well, when you instantiate on object, you make the program create. He occupies space in memory, RAM memory, RAM memory. This space uses its keeping data inside it that should be used in the program. Extensive application markup language. It's the name of a language that use, as it says, XML language as a base. XML is a way similar to web. It's kind like of web programming, but I don't know if XML is before it is before the web programming language like HTML. Well, nevertheless, the extensive application markup language is an XML based language that's an alternative to programming code for instantiating and initializing objects and organizing those objects in parent-child hierarchies. When you program in C Sharp, that is the language behind this, what we are studying, when you want to create something in the screen besides a console panel, console application, you need to create objects that are in the screen, like circles, like triangles, and like buttons and things like that. But you need to express the name. You need to express the name of each of these objects. You need to get each object and tell each object what it has to do. Nevertheless, when you use a markup language like this, it does all of this for you, and it's a more readable code. A code that is more readable is the web. Normally, web programming, it's more easy to read the code than C Sharp, than C++, language C, assembly. Python, it's better. Haskell, it's more difficult. Um, I don't know. COBOL, it's difficult, more difficult to read. Programming language that's more difficult to read. So what XML, it's a way similar to HTML, web programming language that's more easy to read. With time, you will see as I go further. I'm gonna make a pause here. I'll make a pause here. I'm going to the bathroom and I'm coming back just a minute. I'm back. I am back. Okay. So the rest of the part. Organize those objects in parent-to-child hierarchies. You see, when you create an object to to draw something on the screen, um, each object, each thing that you create resembles something. A circle, a triangle, a button, a square, a anything you can imagine that has a name. Why parent-child hier- hierarchies? Hierarchies. Why is that? Um, Sometimes you want the button to be inside, to be to be kept inside a square. You want the square to be inside a circle, or a square be inside frame, and the frame be inside a list object that you can scroll up and down. No, things like that. Sorry. And that's why we have parent-child hierarchies, because those objects are they're called they're called kind of its attribute. It's given. This code is given to other code, so the other code knows what it should do to this first code. So when you give the the button to a square, the square knows what to do with this. If the square doesn't know what to do with this, he can't receive the the object. Well, I'm taking too much time. X XML allows developer XML XAML 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 XAML. It's difficult to speak things when you are a foreign person. X and XAML or XAML allows developers to define user interfaces in .NET Multi-Platform UI. .NET MAUI. .NET MAUI apps using markup rather than code. As I told you, as I told you, as I told you, people, the markup language that you are going to see um, after, they are similar to HTML, and it's more readable and more easy to do because you are dealing with things that are that are being it's something that are it's something that is draw in your screen, so it's more easily in that way to you move things in the way you want, one inside another, something in the left, something in the right, something above, something behind the other things. That's what's the markup language give. A markup language, it's more it's one of the advantages of a markup language instead of a programming language. Well, technically markup language is a way of programming, but it's different from pure code. Pure code is more difficult. When I find an example, I'm gonna show you people. Or not, I can simply show here. Difference between um, code. Let me see if there is images. Um, that's a example. Although it says obfuscating, um, though it says obfuscating. Here. Okay, that is markup language. This one below. Uh, I'm saying this and that. I'm not showing the screen. Here. This is markup language. This is markup language. Okay, and that's code, more pure code. The markup language is transformed in this language. I'm not saying all of this resembles it. This is part of all of this code. Okay, but this code, this markup language, will be transformed in this. This is C# code. You see, more complicated, more words, more. We need to create a class, a window class, and the main window class you need to initialize, and you need to create inside the main window class you need to create an event, and all of this. I created a button. I need to create the button inside the main window class. When the XML XAML code get more bigger than that, imagine that it will be much more than this code. XML allows developers to define user interfaces in .NET Multi-Platform App UI. Apps using markup rather than code. XML is not required in a .NET MAUI app. So MAUI .NET Multi-Platform App UI is a framework. It's a framework. Okay, this doesn't need XML. I can as I have shown to all of you, you can write pure C# code. You can create things on the screen in pure C# code. You ask me, you ask me, um, you ask me, can can you do this in pure C# code? I cannot do this today. I have seen the code before, but doesn't have why. I don't have a reason to study doing things in a pure C# code for things on the screen. It's not something readable. It's not something easy to manage. With code easy to manage. So there is more a way to make the .NET MAUI app instead of just using XAML. But XAML it's much more easy. Believe in me, it's more easy than you write pure C# code. XML is not required in a .NET MAUI app, but it is the recommended approach to developing your user interface because it's often more succinct, more visually coherent, and has tooling support. XML is also well suited. It's is well is also well suited for use with the model view model MVVM pattern. I will not explain what it is MVVM now. I just say that MVVM MVVM is a way to separate code. What MVVM does as a pattern is just to separate code to make it more readable. Why? Because uh, screens, views, something that is drawn in the screen can get pretty ver, can get pretty verbose. I believe it's a word. Okay, the code can get really bigger, like 1,000 lines of code, because of many details in each part of the code. So sometimes you need to separate code to make more readable, or at least more manageable. And VVN comes here to separate, to make more easy to read, and and at the same time um, to avoid a problem in a part of code to influence the other part. So you isolate part of the code. So one part of the code cannot break the other part if this code is broken. Okay, XML is also well suited for use with model view model, and VVM pattern, where XML defines the view that where XML defines the view that is linked to the view model code through XML-based data bindings. Data bindings will be seen in the future. I'm not explain too much now. Um, Within an XML file, you can define user interfaces. Within an XML file, within an XML file, you can you can define within XML file you can define user interfaces using all the .NET MAUI views, layouts, and page. Views, layouts, and page, and as well as custom classes. Views, layouts, and page is something that I like tools that you use, that you write the code, writing the XML code to draw things in the screen. Views, layouts, and page, as well as custom classes. The XML file can be either compiled or embedded. Com a compiled code, it's a code that it's how can I say, it's final. It's something that will not change. The code once the code is compiled, it will not change what's written in this code. At least in binary. It will all be written in binaries. When it's something embedded, it can I don't know if I'm saying something wrong here, but you can change the code during its use, like Java. Uh, Java can be Java is a interpreted language. It's a language that it's compiled while you are using the code. Not so much effective, but can be Java is multi-platform because of it. Well, the XML file can be either compiled, transformed in binary code, and unmutable, or embedded in the app package. Either way, the XML is parsed at build time. Build it part of the process of process to compile a code. It's build, the action of build. So XML is parsed at build time to locate named objects, and at runtime the objects represented by XML are instantiated and initialized. What they are saying is the same thing I said before. That, let me see here, historic. When it is something, when they say at runtime the objects represented by XML are instantiated and initialized, that that will become that will become that will become another code. That class will become this class, and will be initialized. It will be constructed. The code will, when you initialize the code, it will occupy a place in the memory RAM. XML has several advantages over equivalent code. XML is often more succinct and readable than equivalent code. The parent-child hierarchy in XML allows XAML to mimic with great visual clarity the parent-child hierarchy of user interface objects. See if it has something to show people. No. Forgot. Forget. There are also disadvantages, mostly related to limitations that are intrinsic to markup language. XML cannot contain code. That's right. How? Well, what happened? XML cannot contain code. All event handlers must be defined in a code file. XML cannot contain loops for repetitive processing. However, there are controls that display collections of data, such as list view and collection view. List view, collection view is things from the page, layouts, page, views. These are the same tools. They are called controls that are used in this markup language. XML XAML cannot contain conditional processing. If, else, while, do while. Do something, conditional processing, it's like do something if something, else something, do something, while something happens, things like that. XAML cannot contain conditional processing. However, a data binding can reference a code-based binding converter that effectively allows some conditional processing. One of the few things that are more that you will the much when using markup language, it's creating converters, which are classes that you give some data and it's the give back some other type of data. It just transform data most of times. XAML generally cannot instantiate classes that do not define parameterless constructor. XAML generally cannot instantiate classes that do not define a parameterless constructor. What is a parameterless constructor? This is a parameterless constructor. Why is parameterless, you ask me? This part here, these are parameters. Object, what's the name of the object? Sender. Which and what's the type and name of this parameter? This parameter, its name is E, and its type is routed event args. These are parameters. Here there are no parameters or parameterless. The same here. This is a constructor. What is a constructor? Inside an object, when you want to instantiate that object, you need to call the method, the function, the method that has the same name of the class. The same name. You can have a constructor with parameters, but most of times if you have not important to use the parameters, you just leave it parameterless. XAML generally cannot instantiate classes that do not define a parameterless constructor, although this restriction can sometimes be overcome. XAML generally XAML generally XAML generally cannot call methods. XAML generally cannot call methods, although this restriction can be sometimes overcome. So just remember, XAML, it's a markup language just to you position the tools you use to draw specific things in the screen. You don't use XAML to program logic, things that should be done, conditional programming, or any other thing that demands processing. The type of process that need to make decisions. XAML is just you put how things should be put in the screen, where where each part should be put on the screen. It's what XAML do the best. There is no visual designer for producing XAML in .NET MAUI apps. All XAML must be handwritten, but you can use XAML hot reload to view your user interface as you edit. XAML is basically XML, but XAML has some unique syntax features. The most important are property elements, attach properties, markup extensions. These features are not XML extensions. XAML is entirely legal XML, but these XAML syntax features use unique XAML use XAML use XML in unique ways. Well, done. 40, 40, 45 minutes. Well, I'm stopping here. Let's begun here. Verena, I could do that last time, but I need to have the habit to explain what I am studying. Well, see See you, whoever is viewing this. See you the next time.